My introduction to Stella Adler was through her father, Jacob Adler, who was known as the king of the Yiddish stage. He and Sarah Adler were the great tragedians of the Yiddish stage. So it was through Jacob that I first learned about Stella, and I was actually enchanted with her father. I was so captivated by Jacob that I decided, well, I want to know more about Stella now. And yet when I would talk to people, friends, lay people, not people in the theater, and mention that I was researching Stella Adler's life, they didn't know who Stella Adler was. And I think that is where my motivation came from. I wanted to reclaim her life in the annals of theatrical history. When I would mention Lee Strasberg, however, even people not even remotely affiliated with the theater knew who Lee Strasberg was. Another reason why it was hard for me to accept that she had not been recognized and that she didn't have a biography is her roster of students, from Marlon Brando, Warren Beatty, Robert De Niro, Shelley Winters, Harvey Keitel, Martin Sheen, all the way to today, Salma Hayek and Mark Ruffalo. And so I had the entire century to research, and she'd gone from gas to electricity, from horse and carriage to automobile, from traveling across the ocean by boat to airplane, and these were huge transitions for her, especially when it came to hats. Stella loved hats, and when they went out of style, when all of the traditional garments went out of style, she clung to them. She dressed, she spoke, she comported herself with what people would think was anachronistic, because it was kind of over the top that she would still cling to this tradition, but it was who she was. She was raised with this immigrant mentality and within this theatrical community that by its very nature adhered to tradition and to costume and to comporting oneself with a specific way of speaking and mannerisms. She was a star. She was a star of the Yiddish stage before she even began to make the leap to Broadway. I was also able to speak to Stella's contemporaries and her students. And when I would approach the celebrities, like Arthur Miller, like Karl Malden, Robert De Niro, I had what Stella would say an action. My action was to get out of them anecdotes that would reveal more about Stella to me so that I could write about her. They could tell me things about her that I already knew, such as her technique or where she was at a certain time or what she did at a certain time, but it was the anecdotes that were difficult to extract from different people that I interviewed. So I had the action, which was to get anecdotes, and therefore I was not intimidated when I would speak to people of renown. The intimidating part came when I would speak to her family itself. I remember the first time meeting Ellen Adler. I think it was in 2002, so I was 30, and I went to her apartment in Chelsea, and I had little understanding of Stella at that time, partly because I had not done my own self-examination, and so I wanted to know what this reputation of her being cruel to her students was all about. I wanted to know when Marlon Brando wrote about her saying that she was embittered, an embittered woman, which came mostly from the fact that she never achieved movie stardom, which was something that she regretted her entire life. She felt that she had never really lived up to the Adler name because she had not achieved what her parents had in their realm. She had not achieved that within her industry, which would have been moving pictures. So one of the questions I asked Ellen was, why do you think that your mother was so bitter? And she looked at me and she said, that's your job. And when she said that, it validated for me why I was writing Stella Adler's biography, and that I could write Stella Adler's biography. Not having had a any type of degree in theater or having studied acting myself, you know, just as a researcher and as a writer. And I needed that then, because I was still in awe of her, and I needed to get the distance from the subject in order to properly characterize her, understand her, reveal her, and then put her on paper and hope that she would come to life.